Hello, here is another episode of The Science of Energy. Today I will be talking about stress and how it shuts down your strategic brain. I'm sure you have noticed how difficult it is to think clearly when you are under acute pressure, right? It's not your imagination. It is actually the fact that your logical brain goes offline when you are under intense stress. Now, you might think some people need stress in order to accomplish. They need the adrenaline rush of an approaching deadline to really get into the flow and accomplish a lot in a short period of time. It is true there is something called eustress, EU stress, which is a state that gets invoked in such situations. So you have the deadline approaching, or there is a certain amount of pressure. But there is a limit to it. And once the stressor becomes so intense that it goes over that limit, that's when the problem starts. Otherwise, eustress can actually activate your nervous system and can propel you to accomplish a lot in a short period of time. But past that tipping point, it becomes a nuisance. Now, why is this happening? Well, when we are under intense stress, there is a lot of cortisol that is being generated, and other stress hormones are circulating in our bloodstream. This is, of course, equipping us for survival, to deal with immediate threat or danger. But it prevents us from thinking about our vision, about our strategy. It essentially shuts down our cognitive resources. What happens is that under acute stress, the emotions that the stressor produces, fire up the amygdala, as we have talked about in past episodes, and it becomes the amygdala hijack. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logical and rational thinking, for reasoning, for decision making, calculated risk taking, for empathy, and even emotional regulation. Not perception of the emotions, but emotional regulation. So that's the prefrontal cortex. And that essentially gets shut down under acute stress. Now, what is the result of that? Major brain fog, black and white thinking, tunnel vision. All these things are important for survival, right? Like you focus on something. The resources of the body go into your legs and arms so that you can respond appropriately to the physical danger, like run away or fight. There is also an impairment of logical thinking, decreased risk-taking, and all these things that essentially interfere with your productivity. When the amygdala is running the show, you really have just three basic responses available to you, and that's the fight, flight, or freeze. Now, if you are under chronic stress, it may not be that extreme, but routinely your cognitive resources and your strategic thinking and your visioning is impaired. So it's not at the level that it could be if you could regulate your stress responses much better. Essentially, your executive functions are shut down or their activity is decreased, right? So is the answer suppression of emotions, suppression of the stress, denying it, overriding it? No, actually, the right answer is you need to actively regulate your stress. And there are different techniques on how to do that. One of them is figuring out what your triggers are, grouping them, so that you can recognize them in time and you give yourself a moment to talk yourself out of it. You need to have the mantras or an internal dialogue ready to go, so that when you identify the stressor, you can jump on it and talk yourself out of it. Another technique that I can recommend, I call it the magnetic reset. It includes grounding. Take off your shoes, ideally, if you can, stand on the grass or on the earth. But if you cannot, floor or wood or whatever will do as well. Just take off your shoes and feel the soles of your feet touching something. You can also raise on the balls of your feet, on the sides, on the heels, on the inside of the leg, and just repeat the process a little bit, and that will bring your attention to the bodily sensations and it will help you ground. Of course, another part of that is deep breathing. So breathing in through your nose, holding your breath a little bit for a few seconds, and then exhaling through your mouth. And you can actually either do this slow exhale, or you can just sort of spit it out like, okay? So the breathing exercises actually have direct impact on brain waves, on patterns that are going on in your brain. Of course, the last part is to bring your attention to what is really triggering you, why it is happening, what are the emotions that are coming up, what are the automated thoughts, and then you insert that choice point to respond differently. All right, so hopefully you will find something valuable among these tips and learn some ways to re-engage that prefrontal cortex of yours to bring yourself back into the now, even when you are under intense pressure. It is possible. If you would like to know more, please follow me, connect with me, or send me a direct message with the request #stress management, and I'll get back to you. So thank you for listening. See you soon again.